Yo, what is up guys, Minato here with the girl who believes it's going to be part 3.5 to what if Naruto's like Minato, aka Return of the Fly. Let's get into this. The creator was Kamekaz132. Let's get into this. I'm about to start the intro. It was so long, so we gave him. I was that possible, him. I can't describe it, just give me a minute. Okay, let's get into this. Second, he needed to get out of here and meet his GG. He had no desire to meet that man now, but the man had looked after him like his own. He was probably there for him. He was there for him when no one was. He was probably worried sick. Although he was dying to explore the house, it was best not to worry the old man even more. Besides, the faster he could get this over with, the quicker he could return here to explore. Besides, who knows, maybe his parents left something for him. Besides, who knows? Okay. As soon as he closed the gate behind him, he was surprised to see the seals on the gate glow a bit before the gate locked itself. They were not malfunctioning. The seals recognized my chakra, which is why I was able to get in. He thought in all. He had read that the Yondaime was regarded as a seal master of the highest caliber, but seeing it with his own eyes was entirely different. Sensing his chakra signature, when he hadn't even unlocked his chakra, his father was awesome. That decided for him, if his father could do Fuin Jutsu like this, he will too, and he will be better than him. He turned to leave when a thought struck him. He was about to dwell on it, but he roughly shook himself out of it. I don't have time. I have to meet Gigi. With that, he ran out of the area, picking up speed when he realized he was quite far from the Hokage Tower en route. He mentally nudged his friend. Hey, Kurama, you awake now? For a few seconds, he heard nothing. Then he heard a yawn in his head, almost making him do the same before he viciously squashed the urge. What's up, Naruto? Naruto flattered in his running, almost falling flat on his face. He couldn't help the grin that came on his face, hearing Kurama, an ancient demon, using the slang that kids his age do, was hilarious. A stray thought from last night's conversation with Kurama. About last night, what did you mean when you said that we shared the same space for 9 months inside my mother? He asked curiously, turning serious once more. Kurama replied, I meant what I said, Naruto. You are smart enough to figure the answer out on your own. Naruto's expression turned grim at that. It meant he and his mother were exactly the same, host of the Kyuubi no Kitsu. But why was his mother? Jinjuriki, Kurama interrupted his thoughts. Naruto blinked at what Kurama elaborated. Jinjuriki is the term you are looking for. It means power of the human sacrifice. They are humans who have 10 beasts inside of them. Naruto did not falter even for a second after this revelation. He was almost halfway to the tower, which means he can learn a little more. I get what you mean. What I don't understand is why my mother was a Jinjuriki before me. Also, what is my mother's name? Why was I made into one? Questions were coming one after the other, like water from a running tap. Kurama raised his eyebrows at the onslaught of questions. Whoa. Slow down, Naruto. So now, Naruto, you have to understand that I cannot answer all of the questions. Naruto was a little peeved at that. Why not? Why not? Kurama simply shrugged at that, acting as if he didn't even notice Naruto's anger, because there's an old man who can answer these questions better than I can. Okay. Naruto calmed down at that. Kurama was right. He had no hand in who he sealed. Gigi was the Hokage. He was the one who probably knew more about these matters. Another thought struck him, but the tower was within his sight. Better make this fast, he mused. Hey, Kurama, what was that you gave me last night as a gift, he asked. He could see Kurama grinning his mindset. I'm surprised you pick up on that. The fact that you unintentionally used it is even more impressive. Naruto scowled a little. Stop beating around the bush, Kurama. Just tell me. Kurama, however, didn't budge. Don't tell me you can't figure it out, Naruto. You may not know, but I can feel how close you are to figuring it out. Naruto was slowly getting irritated with the game of riddles that Kurama was deliberating, dragging on. He was about to give him a mental scar to remember when he suddenly figured it out. He had felt the mob approaching. Did you actually give me a sensory ability? Kurama shrugged. Naruto mentally whooped. Thank you so much, Kurama. Secondly, his tone turned menacing, causing Kurama to lift an eyebrow. This is for annoying me with riddles. With that, he turned the entire mindscape orange. He would cherish Kurama's yell of horror forever. He reached the Hokage Tower, panting only lightly, standing in front of the tower. He felt a little anxious. He felt a little anxiety creeping up inside of him. He faced the sky. What is the time, Kurama? Observing the position of the sun. It should be around 6 in the morning. He deducted. Naruto idly questioned himself. Would Gigi even be awake at this hour? He shook his head. He would not back down. He steeled himself and entered the tower, seeing almost no one in the corridor. He almost turned back, but resolutely thought to himself that he would wait for him. He arrived in the Hokage's office, seeing the absence of the secretary he knew was supposed to be here. He sat on the bench outside the office. This was his first time in the Hokage Tower, so he decided to look around. But there was not much to look around. All the important stuff must be someplace where only authorized people could access. He assumed. Sighing, he closed his eyes, fearing he could talk to Kurama about his new acquired sensory abilities. Kurama, how could I sense the mob before when I haven't unlocked my chakra? Kurama thought about it a bit and then answered. He had nothing else to do anyway. Good observation, Naruto. It is simple. It was a newly awakened ability. Naturally, it would require time before it stabilized. But before that happens, it is unstable for a little while. It was in the time period that you could sense the mob. If you were to try it now, you won't be able to use it. He explained, keeping it simple so Naruto could understand. After hearing Kurama's explanation, Naruto concluded that the ability Kurama had given him was a chakra-dependent ability. He could only use it as long as he infused chakra. That too is a specific way. That too is a specific way so that he could sense. Damn, that means I have to first unlock my chakra, he pouted. Kurama again spoke up. Before I forget, I did something else as well. Sensory ability was not the only thing I gave you. Naruto rose an eyebrow. Naruto rose an eyebrow in confusion. Now that he thought about it, not many kids his age could do that. What do you mean? Kurama explained on his statement. I tweaked your ability to sense danger as well. Naruto nodded. I noticed that. Kurama's grin became sly. Then did you also notice that when your danger sense activated, your surroundings seemed to slow down? Naruto froze. Did that really happen? He thought back to the events of last night, specifically when he avoided the knives that were about to skewer him. He did remember seeing the knives coming in a sort of slow motion. Damn! He mentally whistled. Holy shit! You are right. I remember that. How is that possible anyway? This ability would be so useful in the future. Kurama shrugged. It was my way of saying thanks for what you did for me last night, Naruto. Naruto deliberated on whether to try and unlock his chakra right now or to wait to enter the academy. Okay. And then unlock it. So deep he was in his thoughts. He did not notice the Hokage coming his way. Hiruzen had a restless night. The 8 Hokage's worry increased when Doggy Tiger came back after a search that lasted 4 hours. They reported they searched every corner of the village, every possible place where Naruto might be, but they found nothing. Hiruzen had dismissed them and headed back to his home, turning in for a sleepless and worrisome night. When he got up in the morning, his first thought was about whether Naruto was alive or not. He immediately got up, shaking off the morning drowsiness like a seasoned veteran. He quickly got dressed and used the body flicker to get to the Hokage tower. He quickly climbed the stairs that led to his office, intent on resuming the search for Naruto as soon as possible. He froze in his tracks. However, when he saw a familiar orange jumpsuit wearing kid deep in his thoughts, which was not unusual for him. Naruto! His exclamation was filled with relief and happiness. Naruto looked up and Hiruzen knew something was wrong when, instead of seeing the usual face-splitting grin, he was greeted with a small smile filled with sadness. Nevertheless, he grabbed the boy into a bear hug, which Naruto did not hesitate to reciprocate. Are you okay, Naruto-kun? Bro, that is so sauce. What type of old man calls a little boy Naruto-kun? That is And sauce. Okay. No, it's fucking sauce. Okay. Okay. Where were you last night? The questions rushed out like a water. Where were you last night? The questions rushed out like a water breaking from a dam. He felt tons lighter than he did last night. Naruto gave him a small smile and said, "Somewhat, Gigi." As for the second question, I need to talk to you in private. Yeah, tallest tower. And this tower. Wait, why did I say tower? Smallest. Why did I say smallest tower? Yeah, I don't know why the heck I just said smallest tower. But relieved but his confusion growing, he ushered the boy in his office. Naruto's keen eyes scanned the office, looking for places where shinobi might be hiding. The Hokage cannot be without the bodyguards after all. The upper four corners of the room. That's where they are hidden. Kurama supplied helpfully. Naruto gave him a nod of thanks, then turned his attention to the Hokage. So, Naruto-kun, what did you want to talk about? Naruto debated whether to tell the old man to make his Ambo leave, but he just decided to kill two birds with one stone. I know who my parents are. That simple statement caused the entire atmosphere of the office. Hiruzen tensed up, and so did the Anbu in the office. To those who were intelligent, it was quite easy to deduce that just whose son Naruto Uzumaki was. Fortunately or unfortunately, those were very few. However, Naruto's file itself was classified with no one but only the Hokage had access to. To find out that Naruto knew about something that only the Hokage had the right to know was very unexpected. Hiruzen wasted no time in waving hand seals. The Anbu recognized the order to leave him alone. They vanished and Hiruzen activated the privacy seals in the office. He gave his complete attention to Naruto. And who are they? Naruto, unnerved by the caution in the old man's eyes, but steeled himself and answered, the Yondaime Hokage and his wife. Hiruzen closed his eyes in acceptance and resignation. He always knew Naruto would find out. He just never expected it to be so soon. He opened. Okay, sorry. Where was I? Okay. Hiruzen closed. Yeah, blah 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 blah. He opened them to find himself on the receiving end of Naruto's accusing. Why did you pretend you didn't know? Accusing stare. Why did you pretend you didn't know, Gigi? Hiruzen barely caught himself from flinching. He gave a sigh. Who told you? Naruto promptly answered back. I figured it out myself. How? The curiosity was killing him. He had to know if someone was out there wielding such dangerous information. Naruto recounted the events of last night, and at the end of his explanation, Hiruzen was both was both relieved and curious. Relieved because he was glad that no one besides Naruto and him knew his parents' identity. Curious because he never knew that Minato had a way to hide from his peeping ball. No, that just sounded sus. From his peeping ball. From his peeping ball. Sounds a lot like something Jiraiya would do. Doesn't it? I know. Both him and Naruto sat in silence for a while. Naruto was the one who break it hurt in his voice. Gigi. Gigi. Why did you not tell me? Hiruzen responded. Weariness, coloring his tone. Naruto, you have to understand that your father had many enemies. I cannot afford to take the chance that you wouldn't blurt it out accidentally. Anger finally filled Naruto. Do you have any idea how desperate I was for answers? He whispered. Do you have any idea how desperate I was for answers? He whispered. But the anger in his voice was clear as the sky. Guilt hit the Hokage with the force of Guy's fist. Bro, gay? That sounds like you're writing Gay's fist. Guy's fist. Gay's fist. Bro, it's supposed to be U-Y, not G-A-I. But that sounds exactly like G-A-Y, but you're saying G-A-Y. G-A-I. First, he could honestly not relate to Naruto's situation. Do you know how? Do you know Naruto's voice? Naruto's voice was a bit louder this time. How it broke me to not know the identity of my own power or my own parents. He was shouting at the end. I have the right to know that information more than any person in the world. Tears were flowing down Naruto's face by now. Hiruzen himself was shedding tears of his own. Naruto was right in that account. He had a right to know who the people were who brought him into this world. More than anyone. But as the Hokage, his decision had to be logical. Sentiment cannot be afforded by someone of his position. Naruto had calmed down after a few minutes. I have a question, Gigi, and I want an honest answer. He was glaring at the Hokage by now. Hiruzen wiped his own tears and answers. I will do my best. Naruto was looking at his feet. Did they love me? Hiruzen smiled this time, nostalgically. Naruto, you were their world even before you were born. Naruto felt as if a weight had been taken off his shoulders. He had always wanted to know if his parents loved him. What child did? Okay, here's the remote. Here's the remote. Okay, actually, here. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it on the phone. Yeah, actually, here's the remote. Here's the remote. Did they leave something for me? That question caught Hiruzen off guard. However, he was able to recover quickly. Yes, they did, but I don't know where. Naruto leaped back in his seat, eyes on the ceiling. thinking it was in this office. Gigi would know, which meant it's probably in his house. Kurama, would you know by any chance? He decided to ask the fox. Damn, I was hoping to watch you scuttle around for answers. It is always entertaining, Kurama grumbled. Naruto mentally raised the eyebrow. So you do know. So you do know. Yes, in fact, it is the place where everyone would least expect, answered the demon. Naruto waited for more, but it never came. He mentally huffed. Fine, I'll do it myself. And just for leaving me in the suspense, he changed his mindscape to orange again. Kurama's house was something louder than before. Okay, sorry guys, I was just telling my little sister to do something. Okay, where was I? Okay. In a place where everyone would least expect. Where could that be? From what is written in the books, Dad was a very humble person, but the size of the house implied he liked to live in comfort. Since he was a seal master, a study where he did his work would also be there. He would place seals all over. It would be safe. Everyone would expect him to keep the information stuff in his study locked tight, he thought, like lightning. The answer came to him, causing his eyes to widen slightly. Seals can be broken if someone is skilled enough, but no one expects to find treasure buried right under their noses, which means what isn't in the study is in front of him. The image of the parents' porch came in mind. He stood back up from the chair, which with such force that it knocked backwards. I know where it is. Hiruzen jumped at the shout, eyes wide. No? What, Naruto-kun? But Naruto was already running towards the window. Hiruzen hurriedly deactivated the privacy shields just in time. Naruto opened the window and jumped onto the slope of the Hokage Tower. His speed easily carried easily carried him towards the edge of the slope. He executed a perfect cartwheel on the edge, his hands holding on and legs going over in an arc onto the wall. He then released his hold, falling towards the ground. He rolled perfectly to soften his landing and then ran a full throttle back to the house of his parents. Hiruzen had gone pale as he saw Naruto cartwheeling over the edge and letting go. However, panic gave way when he saw Naruto had landed perfectly and was running away. That boy will send me to an early grave, he thought as he prepared to follow. He gave orders to stand by to his Anbu as he darted after Naruto. He had to admit, for his age, Naruto was unusually fast. He easily caught up to Naruto, who was easily ignoring the stares around him. Hiruzen was excited. Asked the excited boy, Naruto-kun, do you mind if I take us there quicker? I know where you are going. Naruto glanced at him, then pick me up and do it. Hiruzen nodded, and he did just that, and vanished in a body flicker. The villagers thought the Hokage was chasing the demon to kill him. When they saw him pick him up and vanish, they smiled. Everyone continued about their business, not expecting a thing. Villagers of Konoha are idiots anyway. Okay. Both the Hokage and Naruto stood in front of his parents' portrait. Naruto spoke without Naruto spoke without removing his eyes. I forgot to ask in the excitement, Gigi, what was my mother's name? Though he asked her just that, Hiruzen thought it was better to tell her story rather than later. Her name was Kushina Uzumaki. She was a woman who was fearless, blunt, brash, and one of the most amazing people I've ever met. She was deadly. She was a deadly Konoichi as well. It is her name that you carry, Naruto. His nostalgic. Naruto was amazed that his mother was so lovely, beautiful, as well as deadly. Naruto mentally applauded his father for landing such a catch and promised to do the same. She was from Uzu Shiogakir. Uzushiogakir, the hidden land in whirlpools. The Uzumaki were distant relatives of the Senju clan. They are the clan of the Shodai and Naide Hokage. They were feared for their funjutsu skills. They were the undisputed masters of the art. It was your mother who taught your father Funjutsu. They had immensely dense and large chakra reserves, which gave them a longer life than any other ninja. Some gave them a longer life than some of them had a special chakra, which they could physically manifest in the form of change. Your mother was one of them. He recalled with Naruto soaking it all up. Like a child hearing stories from his parents, hearing how powerful his mother's clan and by extension his mother was in Funjutsu. His resolve to master it only strengthened. He wanted to ask him why she was made the Jinchuriki of Kurama, but let it go. He can always ask another day. He turned his attention back to the portrait. He could not find any seals, but given his parents' skills in Funjutsu, they could have made a seal that hid all other seals. How do we go about this, Gigi? Hiruzen pinched his chin in thought. There was a high possibility that the portrait only required Naruto's blood to open. Letters from parents were only meant to be read by family after all. You have to apply a bit of blood on the portrait, Naruto. If something such as letters from your parents is there, Minato would trust no one but his blood to read them. He took out a kunai and silently asked Naruto if he could slice his hand. Naruto gave him his hand without protest. Quickly and efficiently, Hiruzen sliced Naruto's thumb, opening up a small cut. Naruto, knowing his flash would seal it within seconds, wiped his thumb on the painting before it closed. For a second, nothing happened. Naruto and Hiruzen thought they might have been wrong, but then the whole frame of the painting lit up, showing intricate seals that only an Uzumaki or Minato would have hopes of understanding. There was a small click and the portrait pushed out. Zara, Janet told you not to play with the play. Guys, I'm being so honest. I never even knew we were so close to the end. I know this is a 3.5, but I never knew we were that close to the end. So I'm going to read a little bit of next part. Then, yeah. Okay? I'm going to read a little bit of next part. And, yeah. you guys will have a little bit of a sneak peek to the next part. Unless you already read this this fanfic before. And if you have, then, well, I guess you've already had your sneak peek. But yeah, let's continue for the people who haven't had their own sneak peek. Okay? Yeah. Okay. I feel like it's only for them. But, okay. For a second, would have hopes of understanding. There was a small click, and the portrait pushed out a little. Naruto more eager than ever had than he had ever been in his life. Opened the portrait. Inside there was something very unexpected. Okay, let's get into part 4, chapter 4. Okay.
Fix the pillows now. I don't care. Fix the pillows.
Okay.
Get up and do it.
Naruto and Hiruzen stared in bewilderment. At what met their eyes.
I fix the whole thing by myself, girl.
Guys, Cap. What? First off, I never did that. It was like that when I came downstairs, because I was upstairs.
Alright, so then how about nobody gonna start sitting over there and staying on the room?
Mommy, is that red pillow black?
There were only 2 envelopes that were there. Naruto was a bit disappointed that there were only 2 envelopes remaining of his parents' legacy. But changed the direction of his thoughts. Immediately, he was taking something at face value, which he would never do. Perhaps it's the feelings I experienced last night. The emotions are clouding my judgment, he thought. Don't worry about it, Naruto. Feelings and thoughts such as those never truly fade away. You just learn to live with them. Besides, it happens to the best of them, Kurama reassured. Naruto noticed how Kurama excluded himself from the best of them and rose an eyebrow mentally. It does not happen to you? Kurama arrogantly puffed up his chest and declared, "Of course not. I'm the Kyuubi no Kitsune, boy. A being such as me, I am above such petty things." Naruto ignored the pompous rambling of the fox and turned his attention back to the envelope. He quickly took them from their place and checked carefully if there was anything left. Seeing he had taken all there was, he closed the portrait and the seals glowed again, signifying the portrait had been locked back. A sudden thought struck Hiruzen, as he had to resist the urge to smack his forehead for what he was about to do. Why didn't I act this earlier? Damn, the forgetfulness comes with my age. Hiruzen felt really bad he had to do this right now. Tentatively, he placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder, knocking the boy out of his trance. He was gazing at the envelopes as if they were the most precious things in the world. Naruto-kun, why weren't you at your room in the orphanage yesterday in the evening? He acted slowly, as if afraid to find out the answer to that question. Naruto could not help the flinch that the question brought. When he had told Gigi about how he found his parents' identity last night, he had conveniently forgot to mention he had been kicked out by the orphanage. He hoped that Gigi would not ask him about that. In a mumble that Haruzen barely understood, the blonde said, the matron kicked me out evening. Yesterday evening. Haruzen suspected that the matron would have deliberately kept Naruto out of the orphanage last night because of the festival. He did not expect him to be thrown out of the orphanage. White hot anger flooded his veins that he barely restrained from out letting out letting out as skeleton. How dare they? How dare that woman do such a vile thing, throwing a 5-year-old out knowing he would be killed? Why is this civilian population of the village so stupid? It's like they don't trust mental skills at all. He raged inside his mind. However, he knew he was equally at fault. He should have never announced Naruto's status as the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Naruto would have lived comfortably without experiencing the hatred of the villagers. Naruto watched his Gigi's face carefully for any signs of anger. Fortunately, years of being a shinobi and Hokage allowed Hiruzen to keep a neutral face, but Naruto could tell that from the subconscious tightening of Gigi's hand on his shoulder that he was angry. I see, was all he said before visibly collecting himself. And now, to address the main issue, he looked at Naruto with a grave look on his face. Naruto-kun, now that this is out of the way, we have to find a new place where you live. The words were out of his mouth before he could stop them. Not another orphanage, Gigi. Hiruzen stared at the desperate look Naruto was giving him. To be honest, he was scared that one day it would come to this, and surprisingly agreed with Naruto. He did not want Naruto to live anywhere he would be hated. Unfortunately, that left only one option. Naruto-kun, that means you have to live alone, he said silently, wishing he could not take the boy in himself. Unfortunately, he cannot. That dreaded civilian council was in his way. Naruto crossed his hands over his chest, definitely not hesitating for a moment to answer. Better than living in some place where I am treated with BS. I feel dumb now. Bias. He was looking at Hiruzen, chin tilted upwards in a way only children could show their stubbornness. Oh, Kushina, his stubbornness reminds me so much of you, he recalled with a sad smile. He knew Naruto would not budge from this point. Sighing, he said, but are you sure you will be able to take care of yourself? You will have to cook for yourself, bring food for yourself, clean your clothes, keep your home clean. This is very hard, considering the size of this house, he explained wisely. However, all that wisdom was thrown out of the window when he noticed the look Naruto was giving him. His face was set in a deadpan stare, an eyebrow raised. Okay, guys, hold up. He knew Naruto will not. Oh, okay. Bring your food for yourself, clean your clothes, keep your home clean, which is very hard considering the size of your house, he explained wisely.